Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming here tonight to the first forum that we're having, one of 3 that we'll have, and thank you for participating in the 2023 election forum for the Board of Directors. My name is Lynette Wright, and I'm the chair of the election committee this year, and it's my pleasure to introduce the other members of the election committee. We have Blossom Johns here to my right, and we also have Kenneth Graham, who unfortunately was unable to attend tonight. We also have our legal counsel here for Smith, Buss, and Jacobs, Mr. Jeffrey Buss, as well as in the corner over there, Mr. Charles Cooper, who's also been helping with the election committee. So this is the first forum that we've had in person since 2019, so I'm happy that you are here. I also know that we are competing right now with the Knicks game, so I definitely understand. So tonight you're going to hear from 6 out of the 7 candidates that we have. Unfortunately, we have one candidate, Leah Graham. She had informed the committee in advance that she had a conflict in scheduling, and she was unable to attend tonight's forum. But she plans to attend the forum on Saturday that we'll have. So segueing to that, just an FYI, we will have additional opportunities if your question was not asked tonight. It can be asked the following Saturday, which is on April 29th at 3 p.m. That will be in Einstein, as well as the forum that is going to be next Wednesday, May 3rd at 7 p.m., and that's going to be in Bartow Community Center. If you missed any of the forums that here, we are taping these forums. They are not being broadcast live. So you will be able to see those on the Master Antenna channel, also known as the Crawler, and we're also going to post these videos as well on the YouTube channel. So without further ado, like I said, I don't want to say too much because I do want to dedicate this time towards the candidates, what they have to say, and be able to make an informed decision about the potential future of Co-op City. So for the candidates and for you all here, just an FYI of what will be happening. We're going to start with opening statements from the candidates. It's going to be about 2 minutes each. We have a timer that's in the back to ensure that the time is kept. After the statements are said, we're going to move into questions and answers. With the questions, there are people who had, the committee had requested that you go online or go to the CSO office in advance to be able to have your questions answered. So we do have those. We're going to prioritize those, and then we're going to go to the people that have signed up today that are on the list. Afterwards, we're going to have just a closing statement, which is going to be a minute and a half. So the first person that we have tonight is going to be Leah Graham, but as I stated, she is not here. So her opening statement is going to be read by Ms. Shana Montgomery.
Dear shareholders and friends, my name is Leah Graham. I was your former board director for 6 years from 2010 from 2016, and currently the president of my building association. I am excited to be a candidate in this year's Riverbay Board of Directors election. Since I am not able to join today's forum via video, I am sending this message to offer my sincere apologies for today's absence and will attend the rest of the forums in the future. My travel for a teaching assignment was established before the forum schedule was created. And although I am not physically there today, I am very aware of your concerns, and many cooperatives took time to express their concerns during our April 22nd Earth Day celebration. I understand many are rightfully concerned about our January 2023 7.5 carrying charge increase, with a growing concern regarding the additional 2.1% increase scheduled for April of 2024. I strongly believe my extensive managerial experience, work ethics, dedication, project management skills, and certification of contracts will add value to the board and Co-op City community. In this way, I am appealing to you to vote on May 1st for my teammates, Shana Montgomery and I. We will work hard to get a handle on carrying charge increases, evaluate managing agent, advocate for routine budget reviews, and establish respect and fairness throughout the corporation. The fate of Co-op City is in your hands, and we need your help. We are stronger together. Thank you, Leah Graham.
Thank you so much, Ms. Montgomery. So now the second candidate to read will be Ms. Montgomery herself, reading. reading her own statement.
Now, I want to extend a warm welcome to my fellow shareholders. I am honored to stand before you with great excitement and determination. This election represents a pivotal moment in our community's future. I am privileged to be considered a Riverbay Board of Directors candidate. I know I can contribute to the team. I have an associate's degree in business administration, a bachelor's degree in business management, and a master's degree in elementary education, and have taught for 22 years, which all sounds good on paper, but what our community really needs is someone to advocate and make decisions that benefit them, not companies, politicians, or contractors. Our community's future is critical, and its success depends on effective leadership, vision, and sound decisions. I am committed to bringing my skills, experience, and unwavering dedication to serving a community that I have called home for the past 22+ years. Board members are expected to work in collaboration to resolve disagreements, which benefits the community. I am not in the boardroom, so I will not pretend or assume to know what happens behind. However, I am in the community, walking the beat daily. I see the inconsistencies, the inequities, and the building quality, unfinished projects, safety, and overall deterioration of our development, and how it financially and emotionally impacts our shareholders. Shareholders have been put under a lot of stress with the recent 7.5 increase that wiped out the 7% increase in Social Security benefits that our retirees just recently had, not to mention the additional 2.1% that's projected for next year, April. If elected, I will actively engage with fellow board members, the leadership team, and all stakeholders to listen, learn, and contribute constructively. I will diligently fulfill my fiduciary duties, express independent judgment, and prioritize our community and shareholders' long-term interest. I humbly request your support and trust in my candidacy. Together, we can work towards building a stronger and more resilient and more prosperous community. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to your support in this election. So vote for me, Shannon Montgomery, and Leah Graham. Together, we are stronger. Thank you. The fate of Co-op City is in your hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Montgomery. Next up, we have Ms. Sonia Feliciano.
My name is Sonia Feliciano. I am grateful for the opportunity to be here. I am grateful for the opportunity to work with a community of shareholders to maintain and improve the facilities of our 320-acre campus. Being challenged has allowed me to learn and work cohesively with board and management to find ways that we can share the improvement of our homes. Working in committees with a diverse talent of shareholders through group problem solving has given me a connection. Being challenged by the effects of COVID-19 and high inflation, the cost of goods and services, increased insurance payments, escalating gas and oil prices has put severe strains on our budget. We have a new executive general manager, Marvin Walton, who will assist us in directing the challenges that we face, ensuring that we are sustainable, operating with purpose in our day-to-day operations and capital improvement schedules with the determination and collaboration of the board. I want to continue what we have started, driving a culture of excellence with the purpose of accomplishment for the betterment of Co-op City. Please re-elect Impact Team, Claudia Sampson, Bishop Angela Rosario, Bernard Silage, Andrea Leslie, and me, Sonia Feliciano. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Feliciano. Next, we have Bishop Angelo Rosario.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you, and we want to be able to know that it's morning somewhere, I always say. And the greatest morning that we have is being able to wake up in a community that's so diverse and that is so blessed to be able to work together to try to fix the difficulties that we have in this campus. We have 65 buildings, many apartments, 50,000 apartments. We could say 50,000 residents, 15,000 apartments. But here's the more important. The apartments are not getting any younger. We have a lot of difficulties that we have in this campus, and we have been having difficulties since the beginning of time. But we are trying to make sure that we minimize the problems that are here, and that together we may be able to resolve the problems that continue to come. There will be many other problems that will come that we will face head on, because there's many new laws and regulations that have changed in our community that are actually going to make us spend more money. And that digs sometimes into our pockets, so we must find different ways to manage the problems that are here so that we could keep it affordable for all our people. I always look at two wonderful people that we have here, our children and our seniors. By us working together, we'll be able to keep this campus healthy, because the ones that are in the middle, those parents, they get the help between their grandparents and take care of those children. So I think we have one of the greatest campuses out, so I want to thank you both for us, the Impact team, Claudia Sampson, Sonia Feliciano, Bernie Sellers, Andrew Leslie, and myself. You know my name already, right? Good morning, Bishop Rosario. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bishop Rosario. For our fifth candidate, we have Bernard Seilick.
Good evening, fellow cooperatives. There's an interesting story, headline story in the New York Times today. 50% of families priced out of the city. It goes on, and then the affordability crisis is particularly urgent for non-white New Yorkers, the study found. Latino, Black, and immigrant New Yorkers were bearing the brunt of the affordability crisis. And residents of the, guess where? Central Bronx had the highest rate of economic instability. Now, I'm not sure you know, but the median rental for one-bedroom apartment is $1,900. You wonder why there's a crisis. And that's without gas and electricity. And what about us? We are really an oasis of affordability. A one-bedroom apartment carrying charge is, anybody guess? $900. And this, today, in spite of the increase of 7.5%, in spite of the fact that the gas prices that we pay went up by $18 million. Asbestos abatements went from $4 to $8 million, doubled. The insurance that we pay increased by almost double. But we kept the carrying charges low. So let the Impact team, let us continue our effort. The progress ahead for us. Re-elect Sonia Feliciano, Angela Rosario, Sonia Feliciano, Andrea Leslie, and myself, Bernard Seilick. And Claudia. Claudia.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Claudia Sampson.
Good day, shareholders, residents, and neighbors. My name is Claudia Sampson. I've lived here since 1994. My family moved here from Wakefield in 1984. I am a first-generation college graduate. I was born in Panama, but I was raised here. I am graduated Columbia University with a bachelor's in French. I also attended the New School for Social Research, where I got my master's in politics. And before that, I attended the School of Public Engagement, also at the New School, where I got my master's in organizational change management. I am also a coach, and I'm a management consultant with a background in diversity, equity, and inclusion. After living in DC and also living and working in Puerto Rico, I relocated to Harlem. And subsequently, I returned to Co-op City to be closer to my parents. As a single mom, I raised my daughter, Fatou, and my grandson, Cairo, here because I loved being in a safe and welcoming community. I've served in a number of positions on this board for the last 7 years. Assistant treasurer, first vice president, and now I am also the president of the Riverbay Fund. I'm running to be re-elected to the board to continue the work. Please Re-elect Team Impact Sonia Feliciano, Bernard Silich, Bishop Angelo Rosario, and Andrea Leslie. Help us make Co-op City remain affordable and safe. Vote for me, again, Claudia Sampson, Andrea Leslie, Bernard Salich, Bishop Angelo Rosario, and Sonia Feliciano. Thank you very much for your patience.
Finally, we have Andrea Leslie.
Hi, good evening, fellow shareholders. My name is Andrea Leslie, and I'm asking for your vote in the upcoming Riverbay Corporation Board of Directors. I'm running because I want to make a difference in advancing progress we have made in our infrastructure, making our corporation financially sound, and continue improving the life of shareholders. I'm currently a senior supervisor for the City of New York, serving New Yorkers and Co-op City residents in crisis. I ask that you vote for myself, Andrea Leslie, Claudia Sampson, Bernie Silich, Angelo Rosario, and Sonia Feliciano. Thank you.
Thank you to all of the candidates. So we received a number of questions online. Like we said, we're going to start with those first, and then we'll move to the additional questions that you have here. So, and every shareholder gets one question. So the first question comes from, it's a combination because actually two people asked the same question, but it's a decent question. So the question was asked by Monique Coleman of Building 11A, as well as Yvette Livingston Brown of Building 1. Question is, our community was conceptualized to be a self-contained utopia. What is your vision for Co-op City? So we are going to start with Shannon Montgomery.
The vision is community. The vision is what it was when I moved here 20-something years ago. We are a self-contained city. It is the responsibility of the board members and Co-op City residents to work together as one and to build a great utopian establishment for all of us. We can't continue in this the way that we're going. I see the deterioration in the buildings, the way they're being kept, everything. So I think we just really want to have a healthy way of living. We want to have a sustainable way of living. We can't take more rent hikes. You know, we keep saying that we're affordable and we're the best bet in town, but what good is being the best bet in town if, you know, the conditions are not up to par? We need to make sure we cannot continue. We won't be the cheapest, we won't be the best, and we're really not at this point if we continue to get rent hikes. You know, we keep saying that we're affordable and we're this. The 7% that seniors just received from Social Security, that makes no sense that was supposed to go to food. How long are we going to allow the food lines to extend? How far are we going to let those lines extend before we realize that people are choosing between food and paying their rent? The lines are getting larger, and we can all pretend that it's non-existent, and I'm not sure what our board members are doing or not doing, but I see it. And what we all want for the community is we want safety, we want health, we want prosperity in our future, in our community, and we want to be able to afford to live here. And we don't just want to afford to live here, we want to be able to sustain the affordability as well as maintain
Thank
the
you,
conditions.
Ms. Montgomery.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Sonia Feliciano.
Again, I'm Sonia Feliciano. I'm a resident for the past 24 years. I raised my two daughters here. And I have two grandchildren. My community vision is to focus on people and quality. I have four, they call it the 4 C's of Co-op City. One is community, improve the housing and quality of life for the people we serve, seeking funding sources for our environment. Collaboration, build upon a commitment of strong partnerships with customer service, increase efficiencies, responsibility in the services we provide to our shareholders, residents, and communication, clear and concise and consistent communication. You know, we are a community of many, but I kind of find that sometimes we don't connect. We only connect when there's a concern or a problem. I think that we need to build more an engagement of community. And I'm a proponent of committees. I'm a proponent of building associations. I'm a proponent of just building a connection with the residents of this community, and we have to do that better. Thank you.
Bishop Rosario.
I'm trying to think what Utopia looks like. And I guess it looks like some place called a paradise. And if we're living in a place called a paradise, that means that we have to be able to the paradise that we have. And that means that we have to invest in our paradise. We have to buy fertilizer to keep everything going so that we could develop together and we could grow our community. We live in a real world. This is a business that we live in. And everything continues to climb and skyrocket every which way we go. Everyone all over the city is having problems. Every time we look around, there's a race and everything else. And how do we make it better? To be able to keep it affordable for everyone. Not only for our seniors, but for everyone that lives here, because there are people that are living from one paycheck to the next. But at the same time, if we do not pay our carrying charges, we cannot do the work that needs to be done to pay the oil and all the other things that are here. So in real business, this is something that we have to also think about. I have a bleeding heart for the children, for my seniors, and for everybody else. But in reality, I still have to be able to make the business decisions that are needed to keep this affordable, especially here with everything that continues to climb all around us. How do we do that? So we're going to try to do it to the best of our ability by working together and becoming one unit that is going to make a difference. Thank you.
Thanks, Bishop Rosario. Bernard Silik.
Yeah. First, we can't ignore the fact that, in spite of the fact that our carrying charge is probably the best deal in town, yet we were victims of hundreds of millions of dollars of theft, of corruption, of bribery when this place was being built and during the time. In fact, our general manager went to jail, and our former president went to jail for kickbacks and bribery. But nevertheless, we overcame that, and we're overcoming it. We have one of the lowest crime rates in the city. And we have, of course, comfortable homes, heat and hot water and air conditioning. And we're trying to resolve some of the problems of the leaking and the flood convector system. However, one of the things I think we need to reestablish is a Congress. We had a Congress when we first moved in here 50 years ago. We need to reestablish that. And we need to have some vision of reestablishing a youth center with swimming pools. Yes, we deserve that. We deserve the best kind of amenities that we can get. And that's what I vision for us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudia Sampson.
Thank you, Monique. That was a good question, and thank you also, Yvette, for your question. I'd like to address the question as to what exactly it is that I, a member of the board, can do, and I'm going to make it very simple. We are the largest naturally occurring retirement community in the country. Many people here were not subscribing for SCREE. I brought the SCREE program here in December to help people complete their applications. We had a standing room. We had over 300 people show up for that event, and it helped people. Not everybody's eligible for SCREE, but there were people there that got help. So that's one example. We also have food pantries. I know a lot of people frown on them, but they are essential. And I was trying to apply for Feed NYC, and I was told we were not eligible because we didn't have a food pantry. And I found out that we do have a food pantry in Section 5. But I filled out the application anyway. It's I missed the deadline, but they gave me a little bit of leeway. But when I was told we were not eligible, we were not qualified, certified by the health department, I couldn't go any further. Budgeting financially and planning for your household was a workshop we sponsored through the Coalition to Save Affordable Housing, and lots of people came to that event.
Thank you so much. We're at time.
Extending the farmers market, we need to do more of that year-round so people can get fresh vegetables.
Thank you so
Products.
much.
Thank you.
Andrea Leslie.
Hi, that was a good question. I strange enough, right here, some of the things that I wrote working towards the fullness of Co-op City's destiny. And Co-op City was created so that it would be affordable for working people, the average working person, and for to create a cooperative living. And one of the things that we haven't been able to do, which I constantly keep trying to do, the utopia that I see is us being more of a participatory community and making sure that when it's time to vote for the governance of your community, that you come out to vote. That's my utopia, because everything starts usually from the ground up. And until everybody is participating the way that we should, then we won't have the utopia that we're planning for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next question is from Mr. Ezekiel Springer from Building 32B. This is a question for all the candidates. So, Mr. Springer asks, as the neighborhood around Co-op City changes, the Hutchinson River Parkway ramp construction, the Baychester Avenue windmill fiasco, the Metro North Railroad station construction and parking, etc., how are you going to make sure that Co-op City's needs are considered in those changes? We will switch up the order. We're going to start with Bishop Rosario.
I guess we look at a changing world that continues to change, and we're living in this particular world. And how do we work together with our elected officials and everyone else to be able to minimize the problems that we have and get the help that we need from each other? Without the elected officials and ourselves working together, but the whole community working together, we could create those changes. The board is only 15 board members, but if we get 20,000 people out with our politicians, that's going to talk numbers. And that's going to help us to be able to create the changes that we need. You see, in voting and protesting, that's where change comes. And we are only one community, one wonderful race that is living together in one beautiful community to make change. And together we could make those changes and help make sure that what we need in our community, that you look around, everything continues to change, Bay Plaza and everything else, so that gives us more toxic. Together we could ask them what we need and what we could do to make it better for ourselves. But 2 or 3 people can't do it. We have a wonderful board, and we have a lot of talent on this board. And we have different talents that we work together to be able to make. If you vote for the impact team to continue to work with the other board of directors that are there, Claudia Sampson, Sonia Feliciano, Bernie Salich, Andrea Leslie, and myself, together we could probably continue to do the changes and the needs that we need to be able to do so that we could keep this more safer for ourselves and everyone else.
Thank you, Mr. Rosario. Let's go to, feel free to clap, you can clap. Go to Andrea Leslie.
Okay, Bishop Rosario. I have to keep remembering. Bishop Rosario spoke on what I think will really help to make that difference. Us having a close relationship with our political officials so they know constantly what our needs are. And in that situation, we will, they won't be making decisions without knowing exactly what it is that we need. Constantly have to be at the table with them in order to make sure that we are getting all that is that we need and what is deserving for us.
Your mic. You switching your mic.
Claudia Sampson.
Well, I'm a big believer in strategic partnerships. We have over 42 community-based organizations in our community, but we have yet to leverage those relationships. We need to do a better job. So we don't have to go outside of the community, Zeke. We need to leverage the relationships that we have amongst ourselves. By doing that, we can then figure out what it is that other people are doing, and this way we can engage them. I don't think that that is as difficult as it may seem. It's just outreach and communicating. What we did do recently is we invited the city sheriff to come to speak to my committee, which I chair, on safety and quality of life, because we were concerned about the cannabis situation and the vans on the street. And he explained to us what exactly their limitations are. But we're still working to try to get something done to make our community safe for ourselves as well as our children. So that would be my ask if I had a chance to make it work. I would start with safety and quality of life improvements.
Thank you so much. Bernard Tylik.
You know, sometimes we don't have to invent the wheel, you know, and we have to learn from others in the past. Well, we have something to learn too here in Culp City, and that is the killer curve. About 50 years ago, there was no barriers there that you know of, and there was demonstrations after folks were hurt, and even we had fatalities around the killer curve until finally the politicians forced the city to put those barriers there. Well, I don't know what kind of brainless people that we have in the DOT came up with the scheme of compromising that. And we organized demonstrations. I'm sorry, sometimes you don't win. So I'm afraid of the fatalities that could occur with these new designed the killer curve. In regard to the station, yes, we all welcome that. However, there's a problem with it, and that is there's no parking. And that is going to be a bottleneck there. We demonstrated, we asked the politicians to begin to plan something, to do something. We need a parking lot for those folks who are going to come to use it. Otherwise, it's going to be really a problem, a real problem.
Thank you so much. Sonia Feliciano.
Do you know that our biggest voting bloc is us, and we don't exercise it? We don't vote. Even in these Riverbay elections, we sometimes we don't get a quorum, and then it's weeks before we do get a quorum to try to get folks to vote. It's about engagement. It's about community. And one of the things that we did recently, bring in our legislative officials because they're what we need. We've been fighting for a youth center for years. Today, we're at least having that conversation. We've put in for numerous grants to be able to at least get some seed money to at least start construction of the youth center. But we need a lot more. We need you as members of this community, as shareholders of this community, because we're not tenants, we're not renters, we own, and we should demand consistently from our legislative officials to provide us with the things we need. Youth center is something that we should have. I hate seeing these young people just hanging out in the buildings. Just recently, as I was entering the women's,
Thank you so much.
young people just hanging out in the bathroom. We just
Thank you
need
so much.
to have more engagement.
Ms. Shannon Montgomery.
Thank you for the question. Transparency all across the board. We need to let shareholders know exactly what's going on, when it's going on, why it cost us in the long run. We can dance around questions all day, but the fact of the matter is, when you feel disenfranchised, you don't want to come anywhere. You don't want to vote. You don't want to do anything. We have to engage shareholders and let them know, listen, we include you, we respect you, and we want your input. So whether it be the parking garage, ask Section 5 how they feel and what suggestions they may have that will help with the parking situation and everything else. When we don't include the shareholders, why would you want to be included if all decisions are made behind closed doors? And not that I know what's going on behind closed doors. However, if all the decisions are being made behind closed doors, how do you feel like you have a voice? I would never feel like I have a voice if nobody's telling me. I don't want to fill out a survey about, how do you feel about this? I want to be included in the plans. We don't tell politicians don't tell us what they're going to do for our community. This is our community. We're going to tell them what we want, and we're going to demand what we want. And we're going to show up and we're going to show out. We have to make the effort. Just put boots on the ground. I'm not in the boardroom, but I am all over Co-op City seeing what's happening. And we talk about, a youth center. I'm all for advocating for youth, all for it. I'm a teacher, 22 years and counting. I've advocated for youth for so long. It's not a matter of just advocating for youth. It's advocating for the community that houses
Thank you,
youth
Ms.
and
Montgomery.
their parents.
The next question comes from Stacy Archer from Building 29. This is a question she directed at incumbents only, or I'll say they said it for incumbents only. So it says, I would like this question to go to the impact team. Are the garage attendants returning? I've been worried anytime I enter the garage off hours. In light of the recent carjacking in Garage 6, are there any plans to bring them back in the evenings? We will start with Andrea Leslie.
That's a situation, unfortunately, that occurred. It's a rare situation for our community, as our crime rate is very low. That's part of the reason why 45th Precinct only gives us one sector car, even though we've asked for more. They're able to find more for Bay Plaza, but not for us. The budget that was recently passed, in order for it not to have increases that we didn't want to pass on to shareholders, that was one of the things that we wanted to move. We have to evaluate whether a attendant there would have made a difference in order for us to make a determination if have someone back, have garage attendants back. We're not sure what a garage attendant's impact would have been in that situation. So we cannot just react. We know it's a safety issue and we have to pay attention to that, but we're not going to simply react and in order to make a false safety issue for shareholders. We have to actually know it's going to make an impact.
Claudia Sampson.
That's a very good question, and we have taken a really close look. Has there been an uptick in any incidents since we those positions? Absolutely not. In fact, we have cameras and call boxes at every elevator on every floor. You didn't have that with your garage attendants. I'm not looking to criticize them, but I walk in the garage and the attendant never makes eye contact with me. And I'm begun to start feeling as though that is not making me feel safe. I know that people come out of the garage at all different hours, but we have NYPD that has access to the garages as well as CCPD, and they do tours on a regular basis. The chief and I work very closely on this, and maybe people don't know it, but their eyes are there. Those cameras are working. All that I need you to do is understand that by eliminating does not mean that we're taking our eyes off of the prize, which right now is to make our community safe. And we have not seen any impact by removing the garage attendants from their stations. Thank you.
Bishop Angela Rosario.
Yes, thank you. I think that that's a very important question. You know, our garage attendants, they do very good work watching us go in and out. But one of the things that they could not do is go up around the floors to make sure that our cars were safe and that there were no thieves coming into the different floors. When they were here, we had a whole bunch of kind of converters that were stolen and cars that were stolen, and they couldn't make a difference in that particular area. So we established other means to try to secure our garages and secure our cooperators in the building by putting cameras on most of the floors and trying to figure out how do we save more money. And we don't want to get rid of them because they're still going to have their job. The problem is that they're being shifted. But the idea is, how do we continue to make sure that our garages are safe and that when you and I come out, is okay. And the only thing that we could do right now is create those cameras that are going to be able to change the game plan that we have here. Because other than that, there is no other way for us to do it. Because the attendant is going to be there. He sits in the booth. He watches us come in and out. If we can't get out, he lets us out. So we want to be able to be fair to everyone. But we want to be fair more to our cooperators by trying to save some funds to be able to make the decision that we need to be able to make with our dollars. Thank you.
Sonia Feliciano.
I just wanted to echo what Bishop said and Ms. said in terms of the garages. So the plan is to repurpose our attendants in some other jobs. We are the lowest crime rate in comparison with Rog's Neck and Pelham Bay, where they're having problems with crime. We are the lowest. I agree entering the garage attendant can't see you when you're going up to the third, fourth, fifth park. So what we've done is install those call boxes. Those boxes have cameras. They can see you. The dispatcher is sitting in a room watching. We have NYPD has access to our garages, and they do sweeps every so often. They don't tell us how many, but they do. Our CCPD has increased patrols in the garages. And it's, you know, and I get home late, and I personally feel safe leaving those garages in the evening because there is a watchful eye out there. I feel that in order to be able to save us some money, we needed to change the way we're running our business in terms of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bernard Tylick.
Some get confused that the perception is everything. In fact, it's not. And in fact, there's facts to count. When the lobby attendant had to be terminated during the COVID crisis because we couldn't have them in the lobby, we thought, my goodness, crime is going to spike. Did it? Not at all. Not at all. Same with the garage attendants. Crime has not spiked. Yet our CPCBD, they're doing a marvelous job. They just caught how many? Six of them?
Mm-hmm. On the camera.
On the camera. Not inside the garage, not by their lobby tenant. So they're doing a marvelous job, and we shouldn't denigrate them. And I think we should encourage them to keep up the good work they're doing.
The next question is to all candidates. This question comes from Mr. Jeffrey King of Building 4B. Question is, why does Restorations have a problem fixing a simple repair that can lead to major repair, causing Riverbay resources and tenants undue hardship? Will you, as a board member or current board member, address this consistent We are going to start with Ms. Claudia Sampson.
Please repeat the question because you were chipping in and out.
So the question is, why does Restoration have a problem fixing a simple repair that can lead to a major repair, causing Riverbay resources and tenants undue hardship? How will you, as a board member or current board member, address this consistent issue?
Well, I would need to know a little bit more about a simple. The idea that it is a simple repair is a relative state. Many times when you you think there's a leak, you open up a wall, you see there's more to it than meets the eye. There may be a plumbing problem, it may be an issue coming up in another apartment. So what we have been trying to do is figure out how to problem solve so that we don't have to make unnecessary repairs or work on an apartment in different shifts. We are now at the point where you have to make an appointment to have an inspection, and then you have to have an appointment to have them come and do the work, and then somebody if it's plastering and painting. We are working on streamlining that process. I think that the call center is doing a much better job, and I have had restoration done. I don't see it the way that this person has seen it. They have done remarkably well, and they do follow up when the work is done to make sure that it was done. Can we get better? Absolutely. When we get better, it's because everyone is collaborating and all the departments are communicating with each other. And that is one of the areas that we will be focusing on with our new general manager, on how to streamline and improve service delivery. Thank you.
Shannon Montgomery.
Hi, I'm not on the board as of yet, hopefully. I think we need to stop cutting corners and putting money towards everything else except for in the quality of people who are actually doing the job. We need certified workers that are actually skilled in the profession and in education. We say that trade schools are so necessary because these skills are dwindling, and the ones who can do the work the way that it should be done, we are not giving them the opportunity because we're cutting costs and cutting corners. I will reiterate that I am not a board member. I'm not in the boardroom, so I don't know those. But I know you cannot cut corners when it comes to repairs. And anyone will tell you that, any professional, unionized professional, will tell you that you need to if you do the job right the first time, you won't have to go back and continuously put money into a system if you do it right the first time, you invest the first time, you're not going to worry about that because they're going to give you the guarantee that you need. If you're just getting any Joe Schmo to come in and fix something for you, of course, they're doing as best they can. I won't down any trying to make money as best they can. However, it is the responsibility of the board members to make sure that the hiring process is what it should be. We shouldn't just get anybody to make repairs. We need certified professionals to be able to do the job right the first time to save us on that back-end cost.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you elect stronger together, Shannon Montgomery.
Thank you. Next person is Bernard Seilik.
Who can disagree with that?
Nobody.
Nobody, right? Absolutely. And so do we. And you know something? We can't find a plaster. You know how many months we had to wait for folks to get work in the bathroom to do the plastering and the tile work? And you know why? There's a shortage of tile people. There's a shortage of plasterers. And you know what? We went to the union. And they have a school. They don't have enough personnel to give us. We're short. We had an agreement with the union that we will set aside utility skilled workers, and we can't fill those positions. This is not unique for Co-op cities throughout the country. We're short of skilled laborers. We are willing to even set up classes here to train, and we can't find them. So this is the problem. We're all facing the same problem. Unless you folks, maybe some of you folks would like to come out of retirement, absolutely. I'm an electrician, I'm a retired electrician, maybe I'll go back. So this is the thing.
Let
We
him
are
respond.
trying, and we are short, and we will try our best to get the skilled workers that we need, and we desperately need them. And
Thank you.
thank you.
So just as a reminder, there's no commentary from the audience. We are here to be able to listen to everyone. I'm serious about this. I would like everybody to hear. I do not want to escort someone out. Next person will be Andrea Leslie.
I'll continue on that. Part of the issue also is that we don't pay top dollar for our skilled workers. So we have workers who are trained and skilled, and Parkchester will pay them more, and we have a budget constraint, so we have to pay attention to that. And one of my advocacies has always been that we use in-house staff and not outsource some certain positions, because some of those outsourced vendors just actually pick up anyone to do the work, and that's not what I want for Co-op City. So we have to balance how much money we have and what tasks we have to get done, and that's how we make those decisions. We don't just willy-nilly hire anybody, because we want skilled tile people to do our tiles, we want skilled plasters to do our plastering, and they have a union scale wage that they want to be paid like everybody else. So that's part of our problem. And we are facing all of that and dealing with that on a daily basis. I, like you, have repairs that may need to be done, and we have to wait. I've noticed we're waiting sometimes longer than we normally do, but if we want to get the job done, then sometimes that's what we have to do. We're shareholders, and we understand all of that.
Thank you.
I don't know what a simple job is. Due to the fact that you could go into an apartment to do just a 25-cent washer to put on that valve. That may take a couple of minutes, and when you get there, you have to change the whole valve, and you have to cut the water off in the whole building. So sometimes a job that is so small turns into a larger job within the building. When you go up, you don't really know what's happening. So there is no knowing what type of a work job is going to be in there. You go to auger out one of the toilet bowls, and you got a foreign object in there. If there's nothing in there in the foreign object, you auger it out and you're out of there. But if there's something in there, sometimes you have to take off the whole toilet bowl. So, it turns into a major job that is there. These are things that we have to be able to find out. How do we minimize the time, and how do we know what's there? You go to change a lock on a door, it becomes the same thing. Many times we can't see it. Maybe there's a broken key inside the lock. For you to take out that key, sometimes you got to take out the whole. So there are many different forms of looking at things, and we look at it through one lens, and sometimes it's our lens and not the person that is doing the complete job. And yes, we have skilled laborers that are here, and we want to be even to get more, because a lot of our skilled laborers are retiring, and they're not here anymore. So we want to be able to do better to make sure that we find out what the real issue is. It just something we're saying,
Thank
or
you.
is there a truth to the truth that we want to be able to create?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonia Feliciano.
So we do have a problem here. I'm not going to we have a problem getting quality laborers and help. We pay this. They run someplace else. Some of these jobs are paying $35 to $50 an hour. We don't pay that. We try to keep it, minimize, because we are considerate of the fact that that could potentially lead to additional increases that we don't want. The hiring, just a couple of weeks ago, they thought they had 8 people to be hired, or at least to be interviewed for a plastering and painting work. One person showed up. So that's a problem. That's a problem. I can't say that people don't want to work, or maybe they found something someplace else. We do have training. We asked the unions to help us with that. We can't force an employee to go to the union hall and take additional training. A lot of the times they don't go. They don't have to. So we try to do more of the in-house with having a supervisor on duty. One of the things that we did recently is that we have a language barrier. We're hiring people, but they don't speak English. But that's okay, because now we have
Thank you so
someone
much.
to be there with them to be able to communicate with the
Thank you, Ms.
shareholder, which is
Feliciano.
only fair.
The next question is going to be the final question online, just to give time for everyone who is here, is going to be coming from Ruth Schwarma. Ms. Schwarma says, "My name is Ruth Schwarma. I reside in Building 26. I want to thank you for participating in this process and look forward to your comments. This question is for all the candidates. It is derived from Ms. Montgomery's introduction statement on April 23rd issue of the Co-op City Times regarding our dog policy. What specific changes to our dog policy would you propose that may impact our quality of life and/or incur additional expenses to our operating costs, such as dog waste bags? Should dog owners bear the cost by way of a small fee, or should that expense be placed on the entire community?" Starting with Sonia Feliciano.
I'm not looking to add an additional burden to the entire community. If you're a dog owner, you're responsible for your pet. Simple as that. But as a dog owner, we can't refuse an accommodation. A lot is emotional support or a disabled service animal. We require, and we constantly write about it, you have to leash your dog. Sometimes I see them running loose. Dog waste all over the place. I've stepped in it. We have bags. We put the bags in, and someone takes all the bags out. And, so there's, sometimes I feel there's no consideration. I have a pet. It's not a dog, but I have a pet. So, the way I feel is that dog owners need to be responsible for their dogs. We have 874 dogs here, and countless others that are not even registered, okay? So one of the things that we need our CCPD to do is be out there giving more fines. I think that if you hit them in the pocketbook, we can, maybe they'll stop. And the other thing is that we don't have, in NYCHA.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Claudia Sampson.
Unfortunately, the dogs are here to stay. I can't get my head around why somebody needs to have a dog that is too big, maybe, but we can't legislate that. There is a law that prevents us from doing that. So I say to people, if you have a dog, not only should you leash the dog, but you should pick up after the dog. And furthermore, I was looking to build a dog run park or something. Get the dogs in the park and then have the owners pay for cleaning up that park, because everywhere I go in every community I see dog parks and people take their dogs there. I don't see the dog poop on the street in those communities. I see it here because they use our greenway, they use our grass, they use anything. And a dog is going to do what a dog does. But the person with that leash should be picking up after their dogs. And that seems to be a problem. You're right, Sonia. They should be fined. And I don't know how we're going to get them, because there are 800, you say, 700 dogs.
874.
874 dogs. That's a lot. And our community was never this overrun, but because of that, we have to deal with the issue. and we have to be sensitive to people who have disabilities and need for an emotional animal. That's
Thank
all
you.
I have to say.
Bernard Siler.
You know, we have to take a different kind of tact. Those folks who have dogs, evidently they need those dogs, you see. So that's how it's being appeared, and that's how the HUD, for example, held up our loan because they thought that we were discriminating against dog owners. So they had us, and we were being sued. $250,000 by a dog owner claimed that he was being discriminated against. Yes, folks do need those dogs, evidently, for accommodations, you know. However, we have to enlist them to understand that they have a role to play here, and they have to be responsible. I think we have to take a not aggressive, antagonistic approach to them, and that's how we have to change the character of our own response to them. Because if we take an antagonistic approach, it's only going to hurt all of us. So yes, they have a responsibility. They have to understand it. We don't have to go harass them. That's illegal. We can't even stop them asking for a permit. That's illegal. So let's see what we can do together with them and try to encourage them. Yes, don't forget to pick up the poop, you know. And I believe that's the way we have to approach it. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Leslie.
Any action that we take, we have to bear in mind it's the law that persons who have a disability or request accommodation has to be. So while we do that, as Bernie says, making, working with the owner of a pet, that they are part of the community and included in their actions. It affects other shareholders when they have dogs, when they leave stuff behind. So if we have a more community inclusive attitude towards the dog owners, maybe we will then get them to cooperate more, understanding that their actions or inaction affects their fellow shareholders. That is an approach that I think that we should be trying. Thanks.
Janet Montgomery.
I agree with what everyone said. I think mostly it's coming between someone and their dog. We went through so much with COVID, so that emotional support is really strong, and sometimes that's all people have to hold on to. A lot of people have lost people, and animals, provide a sense of security and safety for some people that's really on the edge. But we also have to take into consideration senior citizens and people that are just walking, and sometimes dog poop can be slippery, and it can be a hazard, to other people that's walking. And what I see mostly is young kids are walking the dogs. I think shareholders, the adults, are more responsible. I see them with the bags, and I see them walking, and I do see them picking. But what I mostly see is young people walking the dogs, and they just let it go, and that's just the youth of today. Everything is about them, so they really don't have any consideration for others. I see it. And I guess, something that can be proposed is maybe what I see is when I walk out my building, I see poop right there as you're walking out on a pathway. And I know we have bag stations throughout in the middle of the pathway in the middle of the buildings. Maybe put stations outside of buildings, with plastic bags, and put up signs, to curb your dog, and how important it is to curb your dog, and that we've supplied bags for you. Maybe sometimes they wait so long for the animal to go to the bathroom, it's too late. They can't make it to get the bags.
Thank you, Ms. Montgomery. Bishop Rosario.
Yes, 874 dogs is too much, and growing. It's going to continue to grow because of the law. We went to court trying to figure out how do we fight it. and we lost. The idea is, how do we work it now? See, I love animals, but I don't like them in my house. I'm the only animal in my house, and my wife curbs me every time she wants. The idea is, how do we do the work to be able to help those that need those animals in their home? Now, there's some consideration that should be there, because there are people that are allergic to dogs in the elevators. And I believe also that those people deserve some type of recognition and respect all the way around. There are parents that could go into the elevator with a child. The child may be afraid of the dog. That could damage that child at the same time. But do I know that there is a need for those dogs and people that really need them? Yes. So there's a type of respect that goes for that, but we have to be able to segregate those that are real and those that are not. And those are the ones that we have to try to isolate them out and go to the law and ask them and let them help us to make these better decisions, so that we could help out people that do need them, and then those that don't need them, then they should get rid of them. Because Co-op City was made not for dogs, it was made for people like you and me. And I stopped barking a long time ago, so, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bishop Rosario. All right. So we're going to go back to the audience, to the people who signed up. Thank you so much for everybody who was online. First person that we have is going to be Michael Miller. Just know you have 30 seconds to be able to ask the question. Same time remains for the candidates.
Let's just be real. Everybody knows. Come on. I feel for the ones that really do, but some of them just stop. Increase the fines of the violence, double triple. It is stop. Okay, just really increase it. Double triple. Catch it. I can't stand it. Okay. My question is, what are to the board, to all the candidates, what are your specific plans to address the theft, packages, the verdicts, and your specific plans for the youth of our community?
Thank you.
Well, interesting enough, the Amazon, they are experimenting with putting containers outside our vestibule. Triple core.
The triple core in the back.
In the back, they're going to put these boxes or containers where they can store and you can retrieve your boxes. That could be the answer. I mean, there's different companies going around doing this, but if we start with one, let's see where it goes. So there's an experiment trying to solve that problem, and perhaps that'll do it. But of course, the boxes now outside may also, we may resent that too. So let's see what happens with this experiment. I know we have the boxes now for the post office. They have boxes, containers for us to take our packages. And let's see if this works with the Amazon. We'll see.
The Amazon issue is, to me, very overwhelming, because there isn't a day that you come in that there aren't packages in front of somebody's door or in front of everybody. So I guess one of the things that we probably can be doing, and it might be our task, to have more sweeps through the buildings during the day, public safety. But then that, of course, is going to be at a cost, because that's manpower that we would have to use to do. And we have so much space, because Amazon is a major one, but once we start to put storage boxes outside the buildings, then we have limited amount of space in order to do that, and at the rate that people order online, I'm not sure we're going to have in front of everybody's building to do that. That's an ongoing thing that I guess we could get some ideas from the community too, in order for us to. It's a collective issue, so that's how we might be able to do that. For our youth center, we've been fighting for our youth for a long time. The bingo hall, as it were, we've had plans for it before. We were promised funding, and we're still trying to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Shannon Montgomery.
The Amazon package issue is a tough one. I remember we used to have the Amazon boxes outside underneath, over here, I believe, where you picked your package up from here. And I'm not sure, I guess it was UPS. Maybe Amazon can do something like that and provide the boxes right outside, where what UPS did, that would be a good idea for them, to stop the theft of people's packages. The youth center, that's a big one, because in education, we know that the worst time for the youth is between the hours of 3:30 and 6:30, when they have nowhere to go. Possibly we can use spaces here to provide places for them to go in after-school programs. I know I put together an after-school program in my school called My Sisters Keep Her. It's a take on My Brothers Keep Her. And My Sisters Keep Her, HER, is healthy, enriched, and responsible. And we also did something, I used to have a business in White Plains and Westchester called the Educational Clubhouse for Girls, where it was an after-school program where you dropped your daughters off and they got enrichment programs and homework help and computer programming. And they did a lot of different things. And I think we could partner up with the karate studio that's down here and find out what he's doing and why is he so successful. He's been here for over 20-something years since I've been here. And maybe we can utilize the space here, to do some after-school programs for the
Thank you
kids.
so much. Bishop Rosario?
I think that this is a problem that's all over the city. Private houses, they leave their packages there and they're stolen, they're taken. And as Bernie said, we do have the boxes that we're trying the new program behind all the triple cores for that to try to help them. I live in a townhouse and I have problems making sure that my packages that are left outside at everybody's view are safe. Thank God I also have good neighbors, and when they see my packages, they pick them up and they put them in their house. I put them in my house because that's what good neighbors are all about, working together as the community. But it's not a very easy solution to be able to find out how do we get so many deliveries. My wife gets more delivery than I don't know whom. So I gotta be careful. I'm gonna put her stuff out there, but we gotta do something. We still gotta do something because we want to make sure that our community is safe. That whatever they order is safe also. So we got to think probably out of the box to see, and I think that one of our directors is trying to think about that to try to create these boxes that are going to be able to our community, and we'll just continue to try to do better for them and for all our children, because that's what it's all about. But working together with your ideas and ours, we could make a better difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sonia Feliciano.
I'm going to try to speak facts because I have so much that I want to say. I can't do it in a minute and a half. But the community concerned about the theft of packages. One of our directors spoke to Amazon. They were willing to trial this program in the triple cores. We have 2 more buildings yet to have them installed. And we hope that we can widen the program through for the chevrons, and that would be helpful. Now, if those lockers are full, it is the obligation of Amazon to bring those packages up to your door. That's what we agreed on, and that's what they've committed to do. So we're going to be watching that. As far as the youth center or youth programs, we have a Girl Scout program here. We also have coding, and a lot of we can bring programs here. We have a Riverbay fund that we get DYCD grants from that community organizations can tap. Asking for funding to be able to, have programs. As Shana was saying, that our youth, the critical period is between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. So we need to find a place for them to go. Certainly, I want to have that youth center because I think that it will bring a lot to our community for our young.
Thank you, Ms. Feliciano. Claudia Sampson.
Sonia, I'd like to piggyback off to what you just said about the Northeast Bronx Youth Center. I recently submitted an application for funding from our Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. I asked for 1.5 million. I was trying to be modest. I should have asked for more. We got selected to be one of 15 in her little bucket. Of course, she's one of 500 Congresspeople. She is waiting. We are waiting. They said, hold on. Hopefully, we'll get that $1.5 million is a grant from the Congresswoman's office. We also put in an application for a capital grant with Kevin Riley through his discretionary fund for help. We put in some requests with our Assemblyman Benedetto. He made a commitment to $250,000. We'll take everything we can get. We're still waiting to hear from Vanessa Gibson. That's the Northeast Bronx Youth Center, so hopefully we'll have that. It's going to cost $17.5 million. Based on the architectural rendition, and oh my gosh, we're going to have everything, 4 floors. It's going to be a new building. So keep the vibes, the positive energy going, because I think we're close to getting some help. Secondly, about the catalytic converter, I think there is an event coming up where you can have your catalytic converter marked.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, but. Read the paper, it's in there.
That's okay. Sorry about that. So next up, we have a question coming from Barbara Rose.
The question is, do you believe you can shift your budget towards things that are needed for the apartments and quality of life? Also, you have a problem building in this community.
We have that. We will be maintained with that question.
Okay, that's what's needed.
Thank you.
That's what's needed also.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. We will have them answer the question.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I didn't understand the question.
Do you believe that we can reduce the budget to be able to include the mechanism that she's talking about in regards to heat?
I guess that's a good question. We could reduce any budget and also take off some quality of life, because in order for us to reduce the budget, we have to remove some other things that are there. And those are things that we need to be able to balance them out completely and make sure that when we're reducing the budget, we're not taking away quality of life that belongs to our community. And that's more important than anything else. Yes, we don't want to raise anything, but I think that every board that has ever been here has gone through the same problems. And we have always asked the same questions. And we always see that every board that has been on here, they have to raise certain things or cut certain things or cut certain services off. We're going to try to balance it out to the best of our ability so that we don't cut major services that are needed here in Co-op City, and that we could balance out our budget to the best of our abilities. I'm not a professional in budgets, but I know that I don't have no problem in my home or in other areas that I work with budgets. So I think that we're going to try to do the best we could with the board and everyone else to be able to make sure that we budget it to the best of our abilities, to make sure that everything comes out to the best for each and every one of us that live here. Thank you.
I believe that Barbara Rose was referring to some kind of a air conditioning system. I just want to let you know that right now, management is experimenting with a new technology and trying to resolve the question of our air conditioning and the flooding that's occurring in our apartments during the AC season, and then when these convector coils break and they flood the apartments and go even down to elevators and costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're management experimenting with automatic shuttle valve that's going to be attached, is attached right now in one apartment. We're seeing how it works. That could solve the problem of stopping the flooding due to condensating water that stopped because of clogging, and also stopping the leaks, the flooding, due to break in the coil. So we're going to experiment, and they're thinking of starting a pilot program in some apartments, in some building. And once we can get some reading on it, it could be the answer to our problems that we have been facing all these years. So we look forward to their experimenting with this and some success.
Thank you. Andrea Leslie.
I believe what Ms. Rose is asking about is how we switch over from heat to cold. And because of the way the weather has been, we've had warm winters, cold summers, and our power plant system is not set up for a switchover instantly. So right now, we're not able to do that. And if we looked at it, I'm sure it a very expensive endeavor to create such a system for us. A few years ago, Bernie and I went to, trying to find cures for the flooding, and we went to a private co-op in Philadelphia, and they decided to do something similar to that and put thermostats in everybody's apartment, and every shareholder was assessed $23,000. Now, if we want something and we want to pay for it, I'm sure we can have it. But we're not that kind of community. I know that my budget can't afford that, and I think most shareholders here can't afford it either. So we have to.
It's hard to really comment on something like this. I would have to have more. I guess what Bernie is talking about, it would have to possibly be discussed maybe with shareholders to just get their opinion. I know it's a new solutions for an old system that we have. You know, so it's tough to really grasp the concept of having something that would notify us if it's a flood and possibly stop the water, because the system to convectors is so old and the machinery inside is so old. So we're talking about, that sounds like a new technology for possibly the newer buildings, the new high-rise buildings, that something like that would work. So I'm not sure. I would be a little skeptical that something like that would work for what we have here, especially since I guess it was talked about before on how this whole community was erected in the first place, that it wasn't in the best way of creating the whole co-op city with materials, in terms of materials and putting things together. So I think my question would just be, what will this cost the shareholders, and what's the proven track record of it? And if this is new wave technology, then I would have a very difficult time understanding how it would work for the old convectors that we have, and will it do more damage than good? So that would be my only concern, and what will it cost us in the long run?
Thank you, Ms. Montgomery. Claudia Sampson. Ms. Claudia Sampson.
Okay, Bernie and I have different approaches here, but I congratulate you on your experiment. It sounds like it went well. I invested $50. I bought some sensors, and I hooked it up under my convector, and I have it hooked up to my phone. And when there is a condensation and a drop of water hits the tray, I get a warning. Get it on my phone. Got a leak. Mm-hmm. What do? I go and address it. I turn off the convector. It's never overflowing because it's only a few drops. It tells me there's condensation, and then I call maintenance, so they come and they blow it out if it needs to be blown out. Sometimes it's just simply condensation, a little bit of water. But if I'm traveling, I know I have so much time to get home and address it. And let me tell you, I have not had a flood in my apartment since then, because the system that I invested $50 in, and I put one of them under each convector in every room, it works. It works because I invested in the Wi-Fi on my the Wi-Fi as well as the app that I downloaded to my phone. And I shared it with you, Bernie. I shared it with you, Sonia, and it's still working. So
Thank you
that's
so much.
my solution.
Thank you. Sonia Feliciano.
So both Bernie and
Mike, your mic.
so I ended up, I had to pay for the bedroom floor. I was able to get Riverbay to replace the living room floor. And I did get a water sensor. They call them water sensors. You put there, and that rings a message to your app, because it's Wi-Fi driven, to be able to at least get ahead of it. So when the mechanism starts to ring, you know that you have some water in there or some condensation, you can call Riverbay right away. My girlfriend was in Hawaii, and she had the issue. She was able to get someone to come to her apartment to be able to address the issue of the water. So those are little things that we can do for ourselves at a nominal cost. Bernie, I did attend his trial, and basically what Riverbay is doing is trialing the issue with the shut-off valves. Don't know what eventually it would cost, but it's certainly not going to be the $1 billion that this engineer said it would cost to replace convectors. So in spite of the fact that we're saying that the piping in a lot of these apartments is still good, the coils are good, so we got to try something.
Thank you.
Okay, because it's millions and millions of dollars
Thank
that we're
you.
spending.
Next person that we have coming to the mic is Ms. Francine Jones, 20A.
Question. She's getting her question. Okay, thank you. Everybody's excited about the Metro North coming, and they're not so excited about where people will park. So a few months ago, I was in Section 5 to get some papers shredded, and I had never been in the back of building, I think it's 34 Tower Building.
31.
And there's a huge piece of land back there. And I want to know what your opinion is about building a third garage in Section 5. So let me know. I think it's very needed, and I think you still have a waiting list for people, residents who live there who need parking spaces in Section 5. So now that the Metro train is coming, we need it even more. So I want you to know what your opinion is about building a third garage in Section 5.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
We'll go to Andrea Leslie.
1, 2.
I think we've
1,
done
2, 2.
sort of a survey on that issue before.
1, 2.
There is a tennis court back there. I had conversation before about using that space because the tennis court is not used.
It's a handball court.
No, is it tennis court or the handball court?
Handball
The
court.
handball court. But beside that, I think the piece of land you're talking about is what they made into the Section 5 park. So that space is now something else. So we would have to still look at something. I anticipate that it's going to be an issue when people from out of the community come into Section 5 that doesn't have enough space. And the conversation before was to build on top of the garage. And that was, I think, at like $2 million. And considering what happened in Manhattan recently, I'm not sure that anybody's going to be enthusiastic about building up on a garage right now. So we still have that problem and trying to figure it out.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Bishop Rosario.
I mean, I think that that's a good thought that needs to be looked at. Let's say we need X amount of square footage to be able to put up a garage the same size that we have one over there. And it would probably help our revenue with the parking from Metro North that is coming in, plus the need that we do have for our cooperators that live in that particular section. So I think it's something that we could look at, because I think that it expands over maybe another 200 feet from where it's at now. But I guess the main problem would be how much would it cost and the capital to be able to put up another garage there. But if we put up another garage and we charge, then that creates another source of income that we need to be able to help us with our day-to-day operation, because we don't get any other funds but only from our carrying charges. So that would add on a ladder of finance to us so that we could do a better job with whatever we have. So I think it's something to, to look at and to explore. We should never cut off anything. Don't cut off the head of the serpent up to it's going to bite you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Rosario. Let's go to Senator Feliciano.
I would not be inclined to put a garage in Section 5 unless we had the buy-in from the residents of Section 5. They've been disenfranchised enough with the parking situation, especially the taking of parking spaces in the street. I think that they need to have a buy-in. But in having, even a garage, who is that? Is the Metro North servicing us, or is it servicing other people coming from other areas? We need to go to our legislators in them providing some form of relief in terms of parking. Garage 8 right now only has 12 on the list, so the parking spaces have gone down, and we're steadily working with Garage 7 to get those down. So it's basically community first, and certainly I would want Section 5 to be able to in a lot of the things that could potentially happen over in that section. And I feel sometimes that they don't. So first, Section 5, as far as a garage, I'm not opposed to it.
Thank you.
But I think that, we have to get
Thank
funding
you.
from other sources.
Bernard Silik.
Forever, the folks in Section 5 have felt that they don't have a sufficient fact is, as I understand, there's a 300 waiting list. On the waiting list, there's about 300 folks who want a garage space, and it's more difficult for the sales department to sell apartments in Section 5 because they tell them right away there's no parking space in the two garages. So that's a problem. Secondly, where if we decide to build a garage, and management has been proposing, for example, where precisely what Andy's talking about is there's a handball court and a basketball court, and that could be sufficient to put up another garage and shift those playgrounds and handball courts and basketball courts to another area in Section 5. There's plenty of space there. The third problem is who's going to finance it? Certainly we don't have the money. We'll have to negotiate somehow to find that fund. So there's three problems we have, and we have to tackle them and go into it and try to solve one problem at a time. By the way, we did also explore whether we can add additional floors to the existing, and that's almost impossible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shannon Montgomery.
I think it's a great start and a great idea, and I commend you for just trying to be innovative and come up with solutions, because that's what I think we need as shareholders here. We need to listen to all ideas, all different types of, solutions. And I think when we listen to each other, we would put our heads together, we can come up with something viable that will work for Section 5. So I really thank you for, making that, suggestion. Also, maybe to look at the mall area, how that operates, and if it's possible to utilize some of that space, because during the hours of, early in the morning to like 5 o'clock, there's not a lot of cars parked there into that space, and maybe divert some of the energy that's going to be from the Metro North to that spot where they can just walk to the Metro North from there somehow. So maybe a discussion with the board can have a discussion with whoever operates the mall parking and possibly ask them if that's a viable solution, that we can utilize that space for the incoming, people who do not live in the community, and they can possibly park there as an option, because I know Section 5 is tight, and any space that's taken is a spot taken from Section 5. So thank you so much for coming up with, trying to come up with an idea. And that's what we need. We need to listen to each other and come up with innovative ideas, no matter how far-fetched it may seem.
Thank you. Claudia Sampson.
Well, I know that people in Section 5 are frustrated. They have, and one of them is sitting here, who's lobbied against the way the buses were coming in, the parking spaces that were lost because of the express bus, which was resolved. I see that the buses come in a different way than they used to, because I ride the express bus now. But what I look at when I see Section 5 is with a lot of people, a lot of cars, a lot of people looking for parking spaces. So I agree we should look at the mall. I agree that we should look at alternatives. A lot of young people say they don't want a car. They don't want a car because they have no need for a car. But those of us who need a car need a space. I don't suggest we build anything until we can fund it. If we can fund it and not put the burden on our shareholders, and I think we might want to explore it a little bit further down. The reason I mentioned that, the way that the bus goes in and out, it seemed that it was for safety purposes that they switched up the exit and entering of Section 5 in the loop, in Einstein Loop. But it still looks very congested when people come in and double park and leave their cars there. I don't know how the bus drivers manage to get in and out, but they do a pretty good job from what I can tell.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to the last question of the night before we have closing statements. This is with Dana Avant. I don't know if he's still there. Okay, no worries. So we'll get his question later. Then we have Sharika Taylor. Is she still here? We are good. Ron Campbell. Ron Campbell from 10A. You're the final question of the night.
Thank you. Good evening, candidates. My name is Ron Campbell. I have a question about the budget. I'd like to know what your strategic approach would be to creating and maintaining a balanced budget without any additional carrying charge increases beyond what we've already been told. I recognize significant price increases, remarkable, probably unwarranted in many cases due to COVID. Nevertheless, our expenditures are huge. How would you leverage those expenditures to get competitive accommodations from our vendors and contractors? And finally, we have an aging infrastructure.
We had that one question.
But it's related to the budget.
Continue the
How would the
question.
budget accommodate our aging infrastructure to accommodate unforeseen and unplanned capital expenditures?
Thank you. We'll start with Andrea Leslie.
Big question. A number of issues. Our budget really does not have monies put aside for emergencies as such. And we've been asking for increases because that's what we need to operate. That's what we've been doing. And we try as much as possible to not have. We have been, because we're a limited profit, we are supposed to be 80% are carrying charges and 20% other, which can be income from vendors, from commercial space, and that's where I think we've been looking to increase so that we're gaining in having a bigger source of income other than our shareholder carrying charge. So that's some of the things that we've been looking at. We've been looking multiple ways in order for us to have increases, so have increase in our income without increasing the carrying charge, in order for us to continue to function. And we're aware that we're over 50 years old, and almost on a daily basis, management will tell you something is breaking. And
Yeah.
we've had a 5-year
Thank you,
plan
Ms.
to
Leslie.
address the infrastructure.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Claudia Sampson.
Well, I came with the plan to have EV charging stations in every garage, 2 in each garage. I think with more people buying electric vehicles, we can generate some money here. We would begin with the garages inside, but maybe bring some EV charging stations outside of the garage, because there is funding from the federal government for EV stations that are adjacent to highways. And we have 95, we have the Hutch, and we can definitely bring people in, and we would just need to have a conversation with the federal and the state entities, because I see that as the future. We need to reduce a lot of our carbon areas that we are not utilizing. We have some land that we can develop and build some charging stations right on that property. That would bring us that extra money. We cannot anticipate anything right now other than that coming as a way to generate revenue, because we don't make anything in this community. We just live basically from month to month on carrying charges. We get lucky when we sell some energy back, some power back to Con Ed, and that happens in the summer. I think last year we got $10 million from Con Ed for excess power. That's a good thing.
Thank you
That
so
power
much.
plant is the gift that keeps on giving.
Thank you, Ms. Sampson. Bernard Seidley.
96% of the income, Co-op City, comes from you, the shareholders. So 4% comes from the vendors, the supermarkets, so forth. So there's not much, just like you indicated, there's not much room for us to go further. We are looking at, as Claudia indicated, some property we have. Of the 320 acres, 80% is open space. We do have some space that we're considering leasing it. We cannot sell it, and we may be lucky. There was some offer a few years ago to do that. A hospital wanted to build one of their facilities on our property, but one reason or another we rejected that. But we need to revisit that. Perhaps we can get some income from other sources, that is, lease our land, some of the property there. That's about all we can do. We don't have a money machine, and we've appealed to government to provide us with some funding, and we, in fact, sent a delegation. It had actually a rent strike, and we still didn't get a dime from the state or the federal government, the city. So we'll try to do that.
Thank you so
Try
much.
to lease some land and get some income.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Bishop Rosario.
Yeah. I don't want to lie to you. I really don't. I really want to figure out how do we keep the budget balanced when every time we look around, there's always an increase, a cost of living increase for our workers here, a cost of living increase for everything that we purchase. And when we try to balance out the budget to see what we are going to settle on, we come back around and we find that everything else has gone up. So we have to come back to the table and start changing that around to try to fit the budget that we have for the particular moment that we have. You said also, our structure is completely changing. So before we used to get I mentioned a watcher before for our forces. So let's say it was 5 cents. Now that had gone up to $1.25 for 2 of them that you buy in Home Depot. So we have to add all that as it continues to grow. Every other year or every year, we have to add to that budget to make sure that we could do our day-to-day operations. So if I want to lie to you, I could tell you, oh, no, we're going to do it, and we're going to keep it at the same thing. No, because whatever comes in is what we use to be able to maximize whatever cost we need to be able to balance out in our daily and our yearly. So that is a hard area for us to be able to keep it in the same place. So thank you for your question.
Thank you,
That
Bishop
helped me to
Rosario.
think a little bit more.
Sonia Feliciano.
Okay, so our 124 million in for capital projects. So those are restricted funds that we use for critical repairs. So that is what we are using today to. One of the biggest problems we have here is insurance. You know, what happens in Alabama with tornadoes or in Louisiana, it's unfortunate, but that's what it is. We just paid an $8 million property in our insurance company, and they think it was, a good deal when we were paying $3 and $4 million. So this is what's happening, but it's not only happening to us, it's happening across America. And some may think it's a good idea and some may not. I believe that maybe we should explore ground leasing where we could lease a piece of property to a developer to build a veteran's home or maybe a senior citizen's apartment building that will generate the revenue that we need. Because I got to tell you, I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income too. So it pains me as much as it pains you to have to pay these carrying charge increases.
Thank you. Shana Montgomery.
I think we need to look in-house before we look outside. I think we need to look at the waste that's going on inside, and please correct me if I am mistaken or if I'm wrong. We have in Co-op City, 27 departments which employ so many people, and I believe, in my opinion, or as I've been told, it's costing us something to the fact of $150 million or over for employment just in Co-op City. So please correct me if I'm wrong. So that's why I say I think we need to look in-house. I think there's a lot of waste going on in-house, and I think we're paying a lot of things, and I think we can cut a lot of, different things in Co-op City that's just wasting our money and wasting shareholders' money. So I think we look in-house, and then we start reaching outside to find how we can generate revenue from outside sources. But we really need to look in-house. And Leah Graham and I, the Stronger Together team, we said we wanted to do an in-house. First thing to do is look at our budget, look at what's going out. Because there's a lot of money from shareholders coming in, but including the 7.5 increase and another 2.1% next year, that we really need to look in-house and find that waste, find out where all of that's coming from, and then see what we can then look outside for additional resources.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody who is still here. I know that tired and blood sugars are dropping, so we are going to go to our last portion of the ceremony here. Killing me. Go with closing arguments. So we're going to start the way that we started originally with Ms. Shannon Montgomery. You have a minute. I'm sorry, you have 90 seconds.
Okay. I thank you all for your time, and I would like your vote, but whomever you choose to vote for, please make your vote count. And I express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to stand before you as a candidate for the Riverbay Board of Directors. I am truly honored to just be considered for a position. My goal isn't the title of a board member. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for my community. I live here and I'm a shareholder. So everything that I fight for is the fight. And I'm going to exclude this. I'm fighting for myself and I'm fighting for the cooperatives here because we definitely deserve better. And we need to demand better. And until we make changes, we're not going to get better. The only thing we're going to get is continued increased charges. And eventually, we're going to be priced out of our own community, and we're going to be wondering why. So you either act now, we need to act now together and be stronger together and make sure that we're holding those who have our lives in their hands accountable. We have to hold them accountable to make sure that the money that's coming in is being spent to our best efforts and to benefit the community, not to benefit the individual, but the community. So we just need to hold elected officials as well as board members accountable for their actions, and you guys have to participate. We all have to participate because we are community. We want our community to thrive. We want our community to be strong, and we want it to be affordable. We cannot sustain increases the way we have been. That 2.1% takes us over the top. That almost 9% now, over 9%. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much. Claudia Feliciano.
Being on the board is not glamour, but it's a job that I've taken seriously. I am your servant leader, and I commit to be present. I've always committed to be present, day or night, 24/7, all the time. So I am asking for your vote. And a couple of things that I'm looking to spearhead and work on is community policing. We need that. We need to see our officers on the beat, going into the buildings, getting to know you as our shareholders and residents of this community. Looking to reduce the insurance costs. The only way we can do that is probably through a legislative. Working with our legislators on renewable energy resources. They're telling us that we're going to be losing our power plant in 2035 because we're going electric. We need to fight that. We need to find other sources of income, which I mentioned, option. And yes, we do need to consolidate departments price to create more efficiencies. So I do ask that you re-elect the impact team. Claudia Sampson, Bishop Angelo Rosario, Bernard Silich, Andrea Leslie, and myself, Sonia Feliciano. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Bishop Angelo Rosario.
Thank you for being here. I guess you're very special for being here, and you care about your community. You know, it's important for us to continue to look upon our community, the labor force that we do have here that's doing the work to be able to keep a city within a city going and making sure that we get the best service that we could. Every department here is a specialty department. Not all departments are cookie cutters. Like not all our community and all our buildings and all our townhouses are cookie cutters. So we need to be able to make sure that words have power. And if we use the wrong word, we divide our community, and we also divide our understanding. How do we find out what's real and what is not real? It's by studying to find out sober proof so that when we make a statement, we make it to bring unity and understanding to a community that we all love. Yes, there are problems. There will always be problems. But when the problems do come, it's up to us to be able to find a way how to resolve those problems. I've been around with many boards that have been here before, and I've seen how they've been tried and how they also was treated. So there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that is here is something that we need to be able to take it to the next level. If someone before us brought it to a certain level, we got to take it to a higher level now. We are living in a time where there's a lot of hurt and a lot of danger, but together, not just the board, together all of us, we can make the changes that we need.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
Bernard Silich.
In 6 years, between 2016 and 2022, our carrying charges went up by 9.75%. However, consumer price index went up by 23%, more than double. In spite of the modest increases, we've been able to invest $150 million in infrastructure. Nobody helped us. The state didn't help us. The federal government didn't help us. It came all from your carrying chart. And that's to keep your place safe and comfortable. Look, in last year, September, we got a bill from management that due to inflation, our costs went up by 36%. I'm sorry, $36 million. Where do you think we found that money? We didn't have a money machine, no sugar daddy, no. But manager cut 200 positions and consolidated and made us more efficient. And we intend to continue that route. And that's why I suggest you consider voting for the impact team, Sonia Feliciano, Angela Rosario,
Thank
Claudia
you.
Sampson, and Andrea Leslie.
Claudia Sampson.
First of all, let me commend you on your patience and your perseverance in sitting here and in allowing us to give you a real serious and honest appraisal of where we stand. This is not a glamorous job, as my colleague Sonia said. On an average 5 or 6 times a day. Why? Because there are problems, and there are issues, and there are concerns, and we take our work very seriously. When we go to bed at night, we think about our community. When we wake up in the morning, we think about our community. When we go to meetings, we read, we ask questions, we engage each other. We are a collective. It's not just the 5 people here, but it's the 15 members on this board. We put in a lot of time and a lot of energy, and we really appreciate that you sit here and you listen and you pay attention, because there is nothing that we are keeping hidden from you, because we are residents. We have an investment in this community. So I just want to ask you again to give us your vote. Vote for our team impact, Andrea Leslie, myself, Claudia Sampson, Bernie Silish, Bishop Angelo Rosario, and Sonia Feliciano. Team impact. Give us that opportunity to continue the momentum, because we have done great things and we will continue to build on it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Andrea Leslie.
Thank you for your cooperation, your participation in the governance of your. I am Andrea Leslie, and I'm proud to be a member of the Riverbay Board of Directors, and a board that has accomplished scores of things, addressing issues in reference to the quality of our life, our aging infrastructure, and I pledge that I will keep your well-being, my well-being, in forefront of my thoughts whenever I'm deliberating to make decisions. We have to seriously make decisions that affect all our lives. It sometimes is difficult to make that decision, and I can't make decisions based on how I personally feel, but what is best for our entire community. That's what I ask that you consider, that's what we do every day when we're making decisions in reference to the budget and anything else that affects all our lives. It's not just your lives, it's our lives too. We're all shareholders. I have family members here, and it affects all of us. So whenever I make decisions, I'm thinking how it'll affect all of us when we make the decision. I ask that you re-elect myself, Andrea Leslie, Claudia Sampson, Bernie Silish, Bishop Angelo Rosario, and Sonia Feliciano, the impact team. Thank you.
Thank you all. Good job.
Thank you to all of our candidates tonight for your response. And thank you to everybody who's here, everybody who came, everybody who stayed here. We highly appreciate the fact that you did. Again, just to reiterate, we'll be in Section 5 on Saturday at 3 p.m. for an additional forum, as well as next week in Bartow at 7 p.m. for the last forum.
Julius?
For the remainder of William Robas, Ronald Stewart, and Jean Hall, we do want to accommodate your questions, so just come up here and we'll take them and we'll save them for the next forum. Thank you to everybody here and have a good night.